Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and it's time for another RPG Maker tutorial. So I'm going to try to get this done today. I'm going to try to get the explanation for the other teaser that I put out there for essentially the on-screen blacksmithing. And I mean, it's not a complete system, but it's just testing a piece of it. And I wanted to see, well, quite frankly, like all my things, it started with a question of, can I do this? And how do you do it? And how do you implement it? And there's more things I want to add to it, but I do want to show what I have so far. And from the teaser that I posted, I did add a few additional things because as I looked at it, I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm missing some basic functionality there. So I went ahead and added that. So I'll show that before I break down all of the pieces of it. Hopefully this won't be too difficult. I mean, if you've watched some of my previous videos, it's going to reuse some of the same concepts of basically showing pictures, of making pictures clickable, and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a similar concept. So if you've looked at some of the previous videos, they're probably, some of the stuff won't be surprising. So I'll put my caveats out here like I usually do. I have a lot less time with quiet that I'm able to make videos, so they're kind of becoming a little bit more, a little bit more time in between sometimes. I do not claim to be an expert in this. If you've watched my videos, you've heard me say I'm still, relatively new in the grand scheme of things. I just started learning MZ, any RPG Maker, but MZ was my first one, about a year ago. So it hasn't been that long. It's been kind of on again, off again. So I don't do it all the time. I kind of go in spurts. And I'm have no programming background. So everything that I'm showing are things that I watched a bunch of tutorials. When I have a question, I search for answers. I experiment and I try to build things, and then if I get stuck, I ask questions, and usually folks over at the RPG Maker web.com and the forums, they're really good about answering questions, especially if you're the type of person who is willing to self-help and look for your own answers first and try things. So I'm not saying that this is the best way to do something, not saying this is the most efficient way to do something. Not even saying there's not a plugin that does something. I still haven't explored plugins that much, other than the few that I highlighted in a previous video that come as defaults. Some of the stuff that I'm building, I probably will learn better ways to do it. But the whole reason I'm making these videos is because I have built something that I usually haven't seen anybody else put out there yet. I'm sure other people are doing it, but they haven't put it out there in a video tutorial format. And I think it might help people. It might help other people who are trying to learn this, and they can take from this and they can build upon it and they can learn new things, and just want to give back a little bit. I've also said that I don't make fancy maps when I do this. Right now I'm just testing core raw functionality. How do I do things? How do I build things? How do I make things work? I'll worry about fancy maps and all the database organization and the pictures and everything else like that later. So usually if I'm testing something that requires pictures, I'll just grab whatever I can and test from there. Again, I don't know if there's any other caveats, but I'll just put those out there. So I'm going to go ahead and show this again, simply because I've added some features. This is the showing something that you want to repair on the screen. So one of the things I need to build into this, I have to add into this, is the ability to select who's going to repair and select what you want to repair, and having multiple things that need repair at the same time. So those are all things that need to be built in, but this is just the basic entry level, if you will, concept and how you do it, and then you can build off of that. So this is the show a piece of equipment, something that represents a piece of equipment on screen. Show something you can click on to simulate a repair. It will succeed or fail, and you get to see your progress as you go. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. And again, I added a few new features to it. So I'm going to ignore this little girl who's going to beat me up. I'm going to ignore these treasure chests that give me stuff. And these three different guys basically have different parts of this. This guy over here, he has a lot more detail that he shows about what's happening. I did that for testing purposes. And then this guy was more streamlined, but he didn't have all the features. So I made this guy over here. We're going to show him. Fred the blacksmith. I'm your friendly neighborhood blacksmith. How can I help you? And if I say never mind, nothing happens, right? I can move around. If I go back to him and I say use your anvil, he says you don't know how to use my anvil. You need to increase your blacksmith skill. So that's the first thing, right? So I'm going to go down here. Yes, blacksmith skill increased to 2. I just did that for testing purposes. Now I'm going to go back, talk to him again. And he repeats, so I'm not getting fancy with the dialogue. I want to use your anvil. You don't have any repair hammers. Well, okay, so I'll go get some repair hammers. Here's my repair hammer. Repair hammer times 2 is found. Let's go back and talk to him again. Here he is. Again, not fancy with the dialogue. Use your anvil. Your armor doesn't need repair right now. So, so it goes through the steps. You're not trained in blacksmithing. You don't have repair hammers. Your armor doesn't need to be repaired at this time. So I'm going to go over here and let this little girl smack me around. Creepy little girl. Hello, I'm a creepy little girl from a random horror movie. Let me smack you around to see how well your armor holds. So now she smacks you around, and you're gonna see your armor reducing. So your armor was started at 100. She keeps smacking you until you get below 30. Okay. So 36. She'll shit me one more time. There, I'm down to 26, and she's gonna leave me alone. There, that should do it. That was fun. Come back again if you want me to hit you some more. Your armor has 26 HP left. Bye. If I click on her again, your armor is too damaged for you to play with me right now. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to this guy. Hey, there's the blacksmith. What do you want to do? I want to use your anvil. Okay, now he gives me directions. Click the anvil to try to repair your armor. So now it shows where I'm going to click. It shows the armor max HP of 100. It shows the simulation of the thing you're going to repair, and then it tells you what its current HP is, right? It's current HP of 26. When I click, once I click on this, there's going to be a cancel option that appears, and down here it's going to say success or failure, and then it will change this if it's applicable. There we go. So cancel is now available. I can cancel, and I did increase it, so let's do it again. Failure, failure, success went up to 54. Success, 66. Now I can click cancel, and I can walk away. I can go back up, and it should still be where it was before. Yep, still 66. So I'm going to click. There we go. And now I have my cancel again, so I can back out if I want to, but I can't move. So I'm trying to move. Won't let me move because I'm stuck. I'd have to cancel to become free again. So 91, and then if I click it again, I failure, success. Now, I haven't used up any hammers yet. So let's see. Item. I still have 2 hammers in my inventory. So the hammers have 10 uses each. So I'm going to let this creepy little girl smack me around again. So she's going to smack me around. Okay, 27. Now, I wasn't keeping track of how many times I repaired, but I should be getting close to losing a hammer. So I'm going to go ahead and use the anvil. Okay, success, failure, success, success, failure, success, success. Okay, let's see how many hammers I got. Yeah, see, now I'm down to repair hammer of 1. So I didn't program it to show me when a hammer gets used up, but I did program it to say, hey, when do you possibly run out of a hammer? So let's find out. I'm gonna let her smack me around again some more. Go through it real quick. Okay. See if I run out of hammers. Oh, yeah, you have no more repair hammers. So now I can't repair anymore. If I go to click him again, use your anvil, you don't have any repair hammers. Okay, so that's the functionality of it. So I added a few pieces from what I had showed last time. So how is this working? Well, these two chests, all they're doing is just giving you things, right? One of them is changing your blacksmithing skill. One of them's giving you repair hammers. This little girl, she's just looping through, and she's smacking you around, right? So she's really not part of this. But I'll show you this, if you're interested. Essentially, the first thing that happens is it checks to see what your armor damaged, if your armor damaged HP is less than 30. So this is a variable that is tracking how much hit points your armor has left. And so the first thing it does is it checks and see, is it less than 30? And if it's less than 30, she's not going to attack you, and it's going to exit the event processing. Otherwise, she gives her dialogue, and then she essentially, there's a variable random damage of 10 to 20, so she does 10 to 20 damage each time she smacks you. There's a variable 193 armor damaged HP, and we are subtracting the random damage from it. So the armor damaged HP is actually starting off at the same value as the HP of the armor. And then as you get hit, it reduces it. There's a sound effects that plays. Basically, it tells you how much damage she did and what your hit point left is, and then it checks a conditional branch. If the armor damaged HP is less than 30, well, she needs to stop hitting you, right? Otherwise, she hits you again, right? She doesn't even pause to see if you're okay, nasty little girl, and then it jumps to label again up here, and it goes through it again. So she hits you again, and she damages you, and it checks. Are you under 30? If so, then she stops. Otherwise, she jumps to label. And then the end is it tells you how much HP is left. Okay, so that's the little girl's event, and it's set to just, you can go back to her as many times as you want because she checks to see if you're too weak to get smacked around, basically. So that's her, and again, these are just regular old treasure chests. You can do. All I did was essentially quick event, treasure chest, and then I just modified it from there, right? So now, before I click on this guy to show you what he's doing, and then go to the common event, the other thing that's happening up here is this event that is invisible to the player, and it's going to run in parallel. And so it's blacksmithing setup. It's an invisible event. It's off the walkable map anyway. It's below characters, so nobody could touch it anyway. It is running in parallel. So that means as soon as this map loads, as soon as you appear on this map, this event is going to run. And some of this stuff you wouldn't have to do on this particular map. It's just that, for testing purposes, you need to make sure that certain variables are set to different things, or, sometimes switches have to be done. But it's all in the name of testing whatever it is you're testing on that map. Otherwise, most of the time, you're going to set things up for your game right at the start. So in this one, since I'm testing repairing armor, I just created a variable 192 armor HP, and I set it to 100 because it had to have some value. Then that variable 193 armor damaged HP, I set to armor HP. So basically, the armor that I'm testing has 100, and the variable that I'm going to use to track how much it's been damaged is also set to the armor HP of 100, because I need the maximum that I can refer back to, and I need to know how much they currently have. I just arbitrarily set the blacksmithing skill to 0 because, again, I wanted to test the functionality of what happens when you try to interact with them and you don't have blacksmithing skill. So variable 197, blacksmith skill is equal to 0. And then variable 196, repair hammer uses equals 0. And essentially, again, I don't have any repair hammers in the beginning. So, each repair hammer has 10 uses. So essentially what you need to do, or the way I was testing it and playing around with it, was that this variable gets set to the amount of hammers you have, the amount of items you have times 10. At the very beginning, you don't have any, right? So it's set to 0 so that I can test the functionality of what does the NPC do, what does the event do when you don't have any hammers. And then, so it sets all these so I can do my test properly. And then it does the control self switch A on so it can change pages to basically shut off. It won't run again, right? Self switch A is on. This is the page, the highest page where the conditions are met, which means this page will always be active even if you leave the map and come back. So it won't run again in parallel. If we stay on this page and we left the map and came back, this event would want to run again, and it would, reset all these, and that isn't what we want to do. And without the control switch, it's going to just keep running forever. Okay, so that's not a good thing. So anyway, that's the parallel event to get things set up the way it needs to be so that the test can be run properly. I'll show you the database, the one item I made, which it isn't really anything fancy. It's just essentially an item to appear in your inventory. So now this guy, he is the shortened version of this event, where I don't have it telling me all the different things that it's doing so that I can troubleshoot and make sure everything's working properly. So this is the shortened player version, right? It's your NPC, just standing there, same as characters, action button, so you can interact with them. So first thing he does is he says his text, hey, I'm your friendly neighborhood blacksmith, how can I help you? This is important. I've said this in previous videos. Set movement route player, repeat. So what this is doing, this is freezing the player so that they can't move around on the map when you want them to click somewhere and not just walk away. So set movement route of the player, right? So you can set, right, any of these, but you're going to set it to the player. It's blank, and you repeat movements. So that means it's going to sit there and loop, and not do anything. But that also means that it is essentially freezing the player in place. They can't leave, they can't escape. And that is essentially on event commands, tab 2, set movement route. Okay? So that's always critical when you're going to show them something on the screen that you want them to click on, but you don't want them to walk away. So then you give them their show choices. Use whatever you want to give for show choices. Use your anvil, never mind. I originally set this up as the blacksmith repairing it for you, but then I was like, wait a second, I want to actually test you repairing it, not the blacksmith. So your two choices, right? So when you get to define your choices, you have your default choice and your cancel choice, meaning they can just get out if they press escape, or they can click never mind. And then it pre-populates. So when never mind, it goes all the way down here. Basically, it frees the player. So set movement route player, right? Whoops, sorry, I'm just going to edit that. Set movement route of the player, but then don't repeat. And that basically frees them. So it goes through this really quick, there's no movement, and it sets them free. So that's really important. If you freeze them using set movement route, you got to unfreeze them. Now, when it's use your anvil, the first thing it's going to do, and it's going to check to see, does the player have a blacksmithing skill? So conditional branch. If blacksmith skill is less than 1, so it's 0, they don't have the blacksmithing skill, then it shows the text, hey, you don't know how to use my anvil, you need blacksmithing skill. It sets the movement route, right? So it frees them, just like it does below, and then it exits processing. So it kicks you out of this event. So it checks this first. And if they don't have any blacksmithing skill, it kicks you out. Okay? That's the first thing. Another thing that's missing from this, of course, I think I mentioned this, is I have to improve upon this to say which one of you, if you have more than one party member, who's going to try to use the anvil. That's the first thing. And so you have to be able to pick who's going to do something. So then, after it checks this, assuming they have blacksmith skill, The next thing it's going to do, it's going to do another conditional branch. You notice this one doesn't have any else branch. Now this one, if party has repair hammer, right? So if conditional branch, page 4, item, and basically it says based on whether or not the party has a particular item. So if the party has a repair hammer, I'm going to use an else branch too. So if the party has a repair hammer, jump to label need repair, because I want to skip down to here, right? I want to skip down to here in order to start doing the repair. And I'm doing this simply because there wasn't an option in the simple event commands for if the party doesn't have a repair hammer. Then I could exit processing and then it would just flow down. But it's not set up that way. It's set up, do they have a repair hammer? Well, in this case, if they do, I want to jump down here. Okay. Else, they essentially a party does not have a repair hammer. It's going to tell you you don't have a repair hammer. It's going to set the movement route of the player. It's going to free them, and it's going to exit the event processing. Okay. I might have moved things around because I'm looking at this thinking, I think I could leave this blank. And if the party has repair hammer, it doesn't do anything. Then it skips over this because it's not the else branch, and then it drops right here. I think that's how it worked, but I didn't test it, so I'm not gonna try it now. You might be able to leave this blank. For safety, I just had it jump to this label. So jump to label need repair, label need repair. So now it has checked, do they have blacksmithing skill, right? If no, kick them out. Do they have a repair hammer? If yes, keep going. If no, kick them out. So now the next conditional branch. If armor damaged HP, if that variable is equal to armor HP, which is what we set in this event over here, meaning no damage has been done to your armor, or essentially your armor is at max HP, then it's going to tell you, hey, you don't need to repair your armor. So then it's going to set the movement route to set them free, and then it's going to exit the event processing. Okay, so it does all of these checks up front before it gives you the buttons to click on. So that's the next part right here. So this one is basically, it's the text saying, click the anvil to repair your hammer. So this is just a directive, right, to give the player. Otherwise, you'd have to label the picture, right, click here or something like that. So that's the text to give them a command. Then we're using the show picture, show picture option, and you have to define your picture. I'm using blacksmithing. That's just an image I found, right, that is of the anvil. And then you got to tell it where to go. And, I talked about this in a previous video. Essentially, whenever I play around with this, I just have to give it variable, give it designations of X and Y, and then see if it's where I want it to be. And if it's not, I just move it a little bit, and then I run it again, and then I tweak it and I run it again. You have to play with the scale, right? How big do you want your picture to be, right? 100% for some pictures is massive. 100% for some pictures is small. So you've got to just play around with whatever picture you have. If you made it, then you know better. If you downloaded it, then you've got to just mess around. Opacity, again, is one of those things you play with to, I'm just going to tell you to play with it to see how it affects the picture. Same thing with blend mode. You just need to play around with additive, multiply screen, whatever, just to see how it makes the picture look and what you desire. You can change this from upper left of the picture to center of the picture, and that will affect when you plug these in where it's situated. Or you can designate it with variables. In this instance, I'm just doing X and Y coordinates. So I show picture 1, which is the blacksmithing picture. Then I'm going to use the plugin for the button picture, because I want you to be able to click on this blacksmithing picture, which is why picture number is 1. See, picture 1, picture 1. And it tells you which common event. So when I go in here, the plugin, this is the plugin name, right? So I can choose my plugin. I have two of them active right now. So this is the plugin, button picture. If it has multiple command names, you pick it, but this one only has one. Basically, this tells you what it's doing, makes the specified picture clickable. It's there. You don't type anything here. It's there for you to tell you what to do. Then you get to change these. By double-clicking, you get to pick the picture. I wanted picture 1 for the anvil. And then double-clicking here, you pick whichever common event you want, right? You decide which common event you want. So I'm using picture 1, common event 16. That's telling me which common event. And if I need to find this, right, show picture is on tab 2, and the common event, which one am I doing? Plugin. The plugins are here, right, at the end. Okay, there you get to choose your plugins and go from there. Okay, so picture 1 is the anvil. Then the plugin command, making it so you can click on picture 1 to call a common event. Then picture number 2 is the armor, right? That's just the armor that here. So I can click on any of these things. That's just the armor that I downloaded, right? And again, I had to play around with the X and Y to line it up with the anvil. I had to figure out the scaling to make which one made it look right, etc. So picture 2 is the armor. And then what I did was I used a different plugin, text picture, to set the armor max HP 100 as a picture that I can display on the screen, right? And I'm displaying it above the armor picture. So again, it's your plugin command. Text picture is the plugin. There's only one command in this one. It tells you what it's doing. And then you decide the text. You click in the text. And if you've watched my previous tutorials, you'll know that pretty much everything you can do in the show text event command, you can do in here. But it's longer. You can actually do more here than the show text. So you can change the color, and you can use variables, and you can do all kinds of stuff. So I just typed in armor max HP : 100. You could use a variable here if you really wanted to. And then that is basically making this text a picture, and then the next line goes with this. This plugin command tells you you have to set a blank picture after this. So that's what this is doing. Picture 3 is a blank image. Again, had to play with the X and Y. The scale, I find that the 100% works pretty good for in most instances when you're using the text picture. So this and this go together. So this is the blacksmithing anvil. This makes it clickable. This is the picture of the armor, and that's it. This creates text as a picture, and this puts that text picture above the armor. And you can actually see, right? The armor is the X of 210, Y of 375, and this is 180 and 340, right? So again, you just have to mess around to see where it's going to show. And then the final piece is that, well, what's the current HP of the armor? So using that plugin, again, text picture, and the text is armor HP : and then /V, the variable 193. So like I said, you can use variables. So this is making the value of the variable 193 part of the text, and that's creating a picture. And then this is showing that picture on the screen, right? So picture 4, blank image, you got to figure out where to put it, at what percentage. And that ends up being below the armor picture, okay? And that's the end of this event. So when you first click on this dude, he says hello, freezes you, gives you some choices. If you say, hey, I want to use your anvil, first the conditional branch checks, do you even have blacksmithing skill? If no, it sets you free. It tells you, sets you free, kicks you out. Then it checks, does the party have a repair hammer? If they do, again, I'm jumping to label here. I think you could leave this blank, but I'm not going to test that now. Else, if the party does not have a hammer, it tells you, sets the player free, exits the event command, exits event processing. Then it checks this last thing. If the armor damaged HP, so basically the current value of the armor is the same as the max armor HP, then it's going to say your armor doesn't need repair. It's going to set the player free, and it's going to exit the event processing. Otherwise, it's going to set this up to go to the common event. So again, he tells you what to do. Picture 1 is the blacksmithing anvil, then the plugin command to make that clickable, then picture 2 is the armor, then the plugin to create text as a picture, and then this picture is essentially showing that text. So picture 1, picture 2, picture 3. Then again, using that plugin, make more text a picture, and then picture 4 is that text. And you just have to put it where you want it. And then this event is technically done. But all those pictures are going to be there waiting for you to click. So let's go look at the common event. So first, actually, let's look at the items. Again, nothing fancy. I made a repair hammer, item number 39. So repair hammer, here's an icon, basic repair hammer with 10 uses, and nothing else is here because it's not doing anything. It's not a weapon. It's not calling a common event. You're not using it from a menu. It's just there for this test. It's just there to say how many of these items you have and to figure out how many total uses you have. Whoops, sorry. So then the common event is this blacksmithing advanced. Again, I made 3 versions because I kept tweaking them. So the version I showed you is the first thing it does is it's going to set. So again, you don't get here until the player clicks on the anvil. So the player clicks on the anvil, and then that triggers this common event. And so what it's doing is the very first thing it's doing is it's making that cancel option. So again, using the plugin, the text picture, sets the text as cancel, and then you have to show picture number 5, right? You can't reuse picture numbers here in this instance. So picture number 5, it's blank because the picture is actually the word cancel. Again, you have to figure out where it's going to go based on the X and Y of your other pictures. And again, I just do this through trial and error, right? Trial and error. And I run it each time, and I just keep moving it a little bit to get it where I want it to be. Then what this is doing, right? This is that button picture, and this is making the cancel button clickable. So first, use the plugin to make the text cancel a picture. Use a blank picture, number 5, to display it on the screen. Then you use the other plugin again to make that word cancel, which is picture number 5, see picture number 5, clickable, and it calls common event 19, which is cancel blacksmithing. So I'll show you that in a minute. So if they click on cancel, it will call common event 19 here. So then we have this. This is the sound effect. So that's the sound effect that plays every time you click on the anvil. Then it's going to use a variable, 38, die 20 roll, and basically it's a roll of 1 to 20, like a D&D roll of 1 to 20. Then what this is doing is there's a variable 39 final roll result. And I'm using a script here to say, hey, look, take the value of variable 38, which is this die 1 to 20, and then add the value of variable 197. Okay, 197. And I want you to add those together. 197 is the blacksmithing skill, right? So that was set, it was 0 here. And then when I clicked on the treasure chest, it actually increased my blacksmithing. So variable 197 is my blacksmithing skill. So again, I had to test this separately to make sure this is how you do it before I tested it in this larger event. So here's my variable, the script, $game capital variables dot value in parentheses 38. So that was my die 1 to 20 roll, plus $game capital variables, and then it'll be dot value in parentheses 197. That's the variable of my blacksmithing skill. Okay, so it's adding those two together, and I have two values, and I have the original die 20 roll, and then I have the final roll result. And then this is basically because I'm using it when I click, right? When I should say when the player clicks and it plays the sound effect and it rolls the whether it's successful or not, you're using the hammer. So it's going to take the variable 196 repair hammer uses, and it's going to add 1 to it. So you've used the hammer one time. Okay, you used the hammer one time. I'm doing that for a reason. Now, if repair hammer uses equal 10, right? So if every time you click on the anvil, it's going to add 1 to that repair hammer uses. So at this stage, it checks. You just clicked on it, you used it. If repair hammer uses is 10, so you used it 10 times, it's going to take away one of your hammers from your inventory. So change items, event command, change items, repair hammer, decrease it by 1, right? It's taking 1 away. And then it's resetting the repair hammer uses to 0. So it can start doing it all over again. You use it 10 times, it takes away a hammer, and then it sets it to 0. So that's going to be a check that it's going to do. You notice it doesn't kick you out of the event because you're just trying to track the uses of the hammer. You still have to do the were you successful in actually repairing it or not. So it does this check just to track the usage. Then it's going to do another conditional check, and it's going to say, okay, if the final roll result, which was variable 39, if it's greater than or equal to, I just arbitrarily set it to 12, right? In your game, you got to figure out what makes sense, but I arbitrarily set it to 12. Then what it's going to do is it's going to take variable 194, armor repair value. It's going to randomly select a value of between 10 and 20, from 10 to 20. That's how much you're repairing it because you're successful. It's over 12. And then it's going to take 193, and it's going to take your armor damaged HP, and it's going to add the armor repaired value. So it's going to add 10 through 20, one of those numbers. It's also going to show that it's going to use the plugin, again, text picture, to show the word success. And it's going to use picture 6, blank picture 6, to show this word success on the screen. And I lined it up so that it's on top of the armor, right? So it's on top of the armor. But I don't want it to be there for very long. So it takes the text, creates a picture of it, shows it on the screen, waits half of a second. So 30 frames, that's half of a second. And then it erases that picture. That's what makes the success just flash on your screen and be done. Then it's going to immediately check and say, okay, wait a second. You were successful, right? And this is how much you repaired it by. It's going to check and say, if armor damaged HP is greater than armor HP, right? Armor HP is the maximum the armor can have. So by adding this to it, we're going to see, is it now greater than the maximum? And if it is, right, so if it is, it's going to wait half a second, 30 frames. It's going to erase all the pictures. That's what this script does, right? So this is a script, $game, capital screen, .clear, capital pictures in parentheses. That is, and just blank parentheses, empty parentheses. That's going to clear all the pictures on the screen. The anvil, the words, the armor. It's going to set the player free, and then it's going to set the armor damaged HP back to the armor HP. So it's setting it back to the maximum. This allows your repair to take the tracking value over the maximum value. So it could be 110. It could be 115. It could be 105. But what it's going to do is it's going to check and say, are you greater than the maximum? If yes, erase the picture. Erase that picture. Clear all of the all of the pictures on the screen, which actually picture 4 is what was picture 4? Picture 4, oh, picture 4 was the actual how much HP it has as you go. So in actuality, this could be deleted because you already have this clearing all the pictures. So in theory, you could get rid of this if you wanted to. But what's happening now is that this is disappearing half a second faster than all the rest of the pictures. That's all it's doing. It sets the player free. It sets the tracking variable of how much damage there is to the maximum HP. So you don't have to do any math about, oh, it's over the maximum HP. It doesn't matter. You're just setting it to the max HP. And then it exits the event processing because you're done. You fully repaired the armor. So all the pictures go away and you're done. However, if it's not greater than or equal to 12, so if it's 11 or below, that's where the else kicks in. And basically, it's going to do something very similar. It's going to use the plugin to create a picture of text that I'm sorry. It's not doing. I was going down the wrong road. What this is doing, it is basically just updating the value of the armor HP, right? It's updating that. Okay, so it takes the text armor HP /V 093, and it's going to use picture 4, right, to show that, and picture number 4 was already on the screen. So essentially, it's updating picture number 4 is what it's doing. Okay, and then this is the next else. So that was up to, no, I'm sorry, I explained that wrong. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. This else branch belongs to this conditional, right? If the damaged HP is greater than the max HP, right, the armor HP, then you fully repaired it. It does this. Otherwise, it's not fully repaired, and it's just basically updating the picture 4 that's already on the screen, right? So this else goes with this. And if you get confused, all you have to do is click on this, and you can see that the else is included. You could also right-click, edit, and you'd see the else branch, right? So if you click here, you'll see that else branch is included. This else branch relates to this. So when I click here, this else is included, okay? So this else is the thing about if it's not greater than or equal to 12. Okay, so if it's not greater than or equal to 12, then it's going to do the it's going to take text that says failure, and the plugin is going to make it a picture, and then picture 6 is going to show, right? And that's the same as up here. Picture 6 in the same spot, 210, 450, 6, 210, 450. So up here, it said success. Down here, it says failure. So basically, it's repeated. And then it waits half a second, and then it erases that picture 6. So failure just flashes, and then it goes away. So then what it's going to do, so now what it's done up here is it's checked to see if you were successful. If you were, it checks to see if you fully repaired your armor. Otherwise, it's going to update the how much damage is left. And then here it takes care of what happens if you failed. And then as a last check, it's going to do a conditional branch to say if party has repair hammer. That means you still have a repair hammer in your inventory. And then it's blank, right? So this is the example like I was pointing out above. If the party has repair hammer, it doesn't do anything. And it skips over this. So then it just exits. Okay. But if the party does not have a repair hammer, that's the else branch, it's going to tell you, you have no more repair hammers. Basically, you used up your repair hammers in the middle of this. It uses the script to clear all the pictures, sets the player free, and then exits. And of course, when it does that, you exit back to the map, you're free to move around, and all the pictures have gone away. Okay? So one more time, just because I explained it wrong, I'll do it quickly, and then I'll show the cancel blacksmithing. So this creates the cancel button, right? Or creates the cancel picture. This makes it appear on the screen. This makes that cancel picture clickable, right? Call common event 19. This plays a sound effect, right? Lets me choose my sound effect. This does the random roll of, we're trying to determine if you're successful or not. This gives you your final roll result of the random roll 1 to 20 plus the value of your blacksmithing skill. This is basically saying it's a one-up tracking of how many times you've used the hammer, because remember it has 10 uses. This is checking to see if you've used a hammer 10 times. If you have, takes away one of your hammers, and it resets it to 0, so you can start all over again. So if you have multiple hammers, you still can keep using them. Then it's going to check and say, is the final roll result greater than or equal to 12? Again, arbitrarily set. If so, it's going to figure out how much are you repairing it. It's going to add the repair value to the variable for tracking the damage. It's going to use the plugin to create a picture of the word success. This shows it on the screen, waits half a second, erases that picture, so it flashes. It checks to see if you fully repaired the armor. If you did, then it erases that picture, waits half a second, clears all the pictures, sets the player free, sets essentially the variable used to track how much damage there is to that armor to the maximum hit point of the armor, and then it exits the event. Otherwise, right, if you didn't fully repair it, then it basically updates the amount of HP the armor has, and it shows it in a picture, right? Picture 4 is already on the screen. It just updates it. Otherwise, if you were not successful, right, it's less than 12, then it uses the plugin to take the text failure, make it a picture. This shows that picture on the screen where you want it, waits half a second, erases that picture, right? So it flashes on top of the armor. And then it checks, does the party still have a repair hammer? Because you've used it. And if they do, it doesn't do anything. It just basically skips this, and then it exits. If they don't have a repair hammer, because there's an else branch, right? So the else branch is contained with this. Else, it tells you you don't have any repair hammers. Clears all the pictures, sets the player free, exits. So now you're back on the map with no pictures on the screen. But what is the cancel blacksmithing? Well, this is really simple. If you click that button, if the player clicks that button cancel, it goes to this common event, which simply uses the script to clear all the pictures and then sets the player free. And then it exits. So you're back on the map with no pictures and you can move around. So that's all that common event is doing. Okay? And that's it. That's pretty much it for this event. Okay? Again, as I was building it, I built a very long version, right? So, whoops, did not want that. Double click that by mistake. And so, you can see here where I started fix my armor instead, right? And then I went down a different road. And so this was calling a different common event. And so that common event is different from, I made a mistake with that, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. That common event was the blacksmithing one. And this one ended up telling me a whole bunch more information than the other one did. And then I made a short version of it. And then I made another version of it. Sorry about that. My dogs were barking. I made another version of this. So as I kept adding features, or as I kept tweaking things, or as I kept testing things, I just made different versions of it. And then, of course, I ended up making the little girl to damage the armor. I made this to basically give me a random blacksmith skill of 1 to 5. And then, give me my repair hammers, right? Add my repair hammers. And of course, don't forget this, which was running in parallel to set up some of the things that I needed to test this. And again, in a real game, your blacksmith skill is going to be set in different ways, right? Your repair hammer uses are going to be set wherever you end up setting them. Your armor is going to be set if you end up going a route like this, you have to give all of your equipment health point HP, right? You have to give all your weapons HP. You have to give all your well, you don't have to. You could just do HP for armor, but you'd have to give every piece of armor some sort of HP value. You could do the same thing with weapons so that they get degraded as they get used, and you have to repair them. But you'd have to do that in advance, right? You have to plan for that. And I would probably, I don't know, think I would probably end up using an array to track all of the max HP values of all my things that I wanted to have HP, and then also have a value for the damaged values, right? Of how much damage they are, so that I can then repair them and update the array. All right, so regardless, that's how this works. I showed you the main common event. I showed you the cancel common event. I showed you the event of basically what's putting the pictures on the screen, and of course these little things to set it up, and the parallel event, and that's pretty much it. So anyway, I hope this is helpful, folks. Again, I'm doing these because I hope that you see something here that you can build off of, or it answers a question you had, or it helps you build something else that you've wanted to do, and that's what I'm trying to do these for. Have no idea when I'm going to be able to do another video. I got to figure out what I want to show next. I have a bunch of stuff built, or I should say I have a bunch of stuff partially built. So I got to figure that out and then find time to do more videos. But anyway, if these videos are helpful, or if you at least appreciate the time that goes into making these, please consider liking, subscribing, getting notifications, leaving comments. If you have questions about anything, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to help you out. If you have suggestions or requests or anything like that, again, feel free to leave a comment. And if you haven't done it yet, check out the rpgmakerweb.com forums. There's a great group of people over there, and if you're trying to learn, you can learn a lot over there. So hope everybody's having a great day. Until I see you all again, happy gaming, happy game developing, and I will talk to everybody later. Bye.